What's up, guys? I'm going to try to record a commentary for some sparring drills we did with Gabriel the other night. I'm essentially working him up towards Tegami, which is just like fighting from a distance, fighting in the clinch. Takedowns are allowed. Essentially like a free form type of sparring. So I also have some tidbits in here, so I'm going to let the audio play a little bit, and then I'll talk over the actual
So
stuff.
we'll ease into it, alright? So, I'm gonna have grips on you. Do not let me take you down. Okay. At like 30%. Okay. So me taking you down means I'm trying to get underneath you. I'm trying to grab onto your leg. I'm trying to just put you on the mat, right? So however you can figure out a way to stay underneath me somehow. Kind of like shoving up like that would help out a lot.
I'm always thinking about being a shovel when I'm trying to get underneath somebody. You know how you have to enter at an angle and dig underneath them. So now we started the takedown round. Gabe's being defensive. I'm the aggressor. Right now I'm just trying to get grips on him, and he's doing a really good job breaking those grips. He's maintaining his bent knees like that. He's not very tall, which is good. That means he has a lower center of gravity. I'm just trying to play with his grips right now, just trying to see what reactions he gives me. He's a little square right now, which is fine, which is actually better for combat and stuff. Most judo guys, they kind of square up, or they kind of angle themselves so they reach. You can tell I'm kind of playing more like a judo guy right now, just because there's no strikes involved.
Something on your leg like that, shove me away and kick your leg back. So
Telling him to frame the head and shove the leg back when someone grabs his leg.
Kick your leg back.
So I'm putting my hands on his shoulder just to see if he opens up any space on his lower half. A lot of people, they kind of like pull the arm up to get that grip off, and that leaves them exposed on their legs. So be careful about that. So now we just switch roles here, and Gabe's going to do the same thing to me. He's grabbing onto things. I'm kind of leaving my leg out there, that way I could see what he's doing. He's doing great trying to pick with his legs from a distance. As you get better, though, you want to try to lead with your hip a little more. See how he's kind of leaning back as he tries to shoot his leg forward.
I guess I do. I take it like you smash.
I'm always referencing video games. That kind of Gabe likes to play games, so I try to keep it relevant to him. So he's realizing that he needs to deal with that stiff arm that I give him before he can do anything. My right hand's on his collar, my left hand right now is on his shoulder, and he's realizing he needs to clear that first somehow. Because if he pulls me there, notice how I'm shoving him back. So he'll lean back as he pulled. That actually got him off balance when I pushed forward. Right here, and you'll see it in later videos too. I can receive things either very tense or very loose, right? And it causes a different reaction towards the opponent. If it's tense, they'll start fighting. If it's loose, they kind of don't know what to do. And being loose kind of like takes away a lot of the inputs for me, meaning that I can kind of feel what's going to happen next a lot easier when I'm more loose.
Alright, so now we're both trying to take each other down a little more intense.
So now both sides are trying to take each other down. This is more like a basic judo type drill. Or Rendori.
What? Can't see.
So he's doing great keeping my grips away. So what happened there, let's see if I can pause this. So what happened there is I was trying to hand fight with him, and then you can either go one or two ways. They break your grip so you back off, or they break your grip and you shoot in. So you can decide either to close the distance during the break, or create distance yourself and try to reset.
So you're in a good position to take me this way, right? But I can take that over too by just
I'm talking to him about overhooks and underhooks, and how an overhook can kind of counter an underhook even though they close the distance in on you.
Oh, keep going. So the hand fight's first level.
So right there I kind of swim under his arm to get the underhook, and he used that to kind of spin me around, which is great. He went 2-on-1 there. That exposed his collar,
Right.
and I was able to grab his lapel. So I'm kind of fishing with one arm, overextending on purpose so that he can start committing both hands to that. That gives me a free arm to grab onto my actual grip, the grip that I want.
I don't know what I'm doing.
So now, yeah, keep going. From here, you either want to disengage or you keep going forward. So we're kind of stuck in this close quarter range now, right?
Yeah.
So you can either disengage to reset the position, or if you feel like you can work from here, start your throwing sequence. Dig, hip toss.
I'm trying to walk him through his hip toss here. He has the underhook, so it makes sense for him to kind of fit his hip through and lift. So a lot of times I let them spin me around like that because it kind of continues the motion, right? If you fight it, then they'll just redirect it. So we go again, another round of just pure takedowns, and I'm noticing that he's kind of just blocking things when he sees them and then gripping whatever he can. But I make a note that he should try to focus on a specific grip, and that's going to help make everything a lot more simple for him.
One thing I'm always thinking about is like getting the grip I want, right? So right now you're like defend, this feels good, defend, that felt good, right? But if you're thinking I want this grip and this grip no matter what, it's gonna help you defend everything, right? Because it's like your only focus is that. So anything else that gets in the way, you're just shoving it out of the way, right? So I want this and I want that, all right? So we'll play. Keep going.
Here I demonstrate the concept I just mentioned. So I always imagine like a dog chasing after a bone, right? Or a dog, you're playing tug of war with the dog. Wherever you pull that rope, the dog is hanging on to the rope no matter what. You can steer it across the living room, you could steer it over a table, under a table, the dog's going to hold on to it no matter what. And that's how I focus on getting the specific technique that I want, or the specific grip. No matter what, nothing gets in the way, I'm just shoving it out of the way and I still want that grip.
Now, I don't know what your grip is, that's the cool part. That's where it gets kind of fun. Because you have your specialty throw, I have my throw.
And this is where the mental warfare comes in.
Throw before it's too late.
How can you trick the guy into not knowing what your throw is going to be, and then you get your grips on him? So that was a very interesting exchange there. Gabe had a very great balance there. I tried to go for a throw and a sacrifice throw, and he was able to just bend his knees and hold his position. And that only works well because he was not overextending, his head was not over his center, he was still squatting straight down low.
Yeah, I'm doing good.
Nice.
Yeah.
You defend, I attack.
Okay.
Now we're going to start striking. Just from a distance, no grabs involved. And I'm just kind of playing with Gabe right now. I'm picking from a distance, just seeing how his hands are going. I'm not going super hard or super crazy. I just want him to start reacting. Let's call this like tag sparring, right? We usually use this type of tag sparring to help develop the eyes in terms of developing the reaction time. You're never trying to exchange with somebody in a self-defense encounter, but seeing things going at your head at a little faster than normal speed helps you develop the reaction time for that. Gabe's doing a great job here. I started doing some Dutch drills, so I'm trying to go left, right. Just trying to mix it up for him. I did a little switch kick there. And now we switch roles. I'm defending, Gabe's striking. He's never really done the sparring, at least striking to the head without gloves on, so I'm just trying to test where his range is and everything like that. I'm trying to stay in one spot just to make sure he's developing his range well.
Trying to catch your breath. You have control of the fight right now, right?
One thing to be wary about is your front leg. You never want to leave it straight. See how Gabe's every now and then he leans back and his leg locks out straight. Just be mindful of that. You want to have your knee bent forward the entire time. So he's doing great with his hand combinations. That kick came up really fast.
You right?
Yeah, my bad. Sorry.
And since we're most clinch fighters, it kind of is a mental game to just not try to grab onto something and stay at a distance. I make a few mistakes here trying to grab onto things, so nice. So this exchange here is kind of interesting because I'm not moving my back foot. I'm really just sliding my front foot back a little. It's kind of like a way to bait him into my range rather than me trying to back up and then dash forward and lose my opportunity. So now we're both striking, both defending as well. So there I notice his elbows are a little high, so I'm just trying to drop my level a little bit, aim for the gut. Nice. So that little shovel kick, it looks like it's gonna go at your shin and it shoots right up to the mid torso.
If it comes natural,
The trajectory is kind of interesting to watch, but. So I dropped my level a lot here just to kind of change the look of my head, because if your head's in the same plane the entire time, he's going to start tracking it. But if you start bouncing up and down or squatting up and down, I do a little shovel kick there just to get him used to what that looks like. But once your head drops up and down, they're kind of tracking on multiple planes at once, so it makes it harder for them to hit you. Right here I'm noticing we're just going back and forth, so I start circling around, add a little more dimension to our thing. That jab high, jab low, I do that often. It's just a little fun little touch just to mess with their mind a little bit. He tagged me there, so I did the same high-low type of thing just to tag him back.
Alright, so we're going to start in the clinch, but now we're only going to throw strikes. Alright? So what's going to happen is all your blocks out here, it's going to be that cupping block in here. And you're going to have to turn your body to get out of the way too.
I'm telling him that his long distance blocks aren't going to work in the clinch anymore.
So your elbows are going to do a lot of work.
Just because there's going to be too much space when you try to push a hand out of the way, so you're going to actually have to cover up and use your forearms and your elbows, your body rotating to kind of negate the strikes.
10, 20 seconds.
So I'm attacking, he's defending. This is the first time he's ever done this, so I'm just seeing how his body moves. And I'm trying to make my swings pretty obvious so that he can kind of react to it a lot better.
Bring that up. I like to bring my hand down a little and I bring my elbow across to work. Whatever you feel comfortable in that context.
What's cool about all this is, even though you've never done it, naturally you just want to cover yourself as a human being, as a person trying to survive and stay alive. These drills become very easy to learn, especially for anyone who's never done anything before, because they really just want to cover themselves up. So we're using the body's natural reaction and then just adding a little technique to that. And the technique here is just trying to be more efficient with the movement, not really showing something that's like outlandish or showing something that needs to be drilled to muscle memory. Essentially, you're just shelling up. We always tell the kids you're creating a force field around your body, and the most important force field to have is around your head. So that's why we train hard bodies, so that we can kind of take things to the stomach, but the head is your computer. You gotta protect that at all costs. And Gabe's doing a great job here. He's not dropping his hands, trying to block or anything like that. That was a little drop. So now we switch roles. I'm I'm allowing him to strike down the center because my elbow is the one redirecting. So he's trying to strike center. I'm just swinging him side to side. My body is rotating side to side too. I'm doing that cupping block as well. For this round, I'm actually working a lot on trying to pin his hands to his chest. I know it's a little frustrating, but me leaning into my opponent and pinning my hands to their chest forces them to either back up to create space or try to punch through that lean. And when they do that, they don't have a lot of options a lot of angles to move. So see there, I'm just tracking his hands with my hands. The only thing he can do is realistically back away to disengage our grips and then strike right off of that disengagement. But me knowing that, if he starts backing away, I'm just going to drive into him.
That's the arm. Yeah. It's okay.
We're almost done. 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, my bad. That hurt.
That hurt you?
It's okay. I'm good again.
Yeah, now I think we're both attacking. Yeah, both attack, both defend. Within the clinch, striking only, no grabs. So right there, he was trying to overwhelm me with strikes, and therefore I started shoving in and closing off that space. Anytime I have two grips on the hands, or one and one, my knee is available to shoot up down the center. So I'm always trying to get two grips in, and then my knee's gonna shoot up. Boom. Similarly, we're being nice, but if your knee can't go up, at least your head can go forward. That's why the headbutt there is always very advantageous to do, because both hands are occupied for both of y'all, so it's either knee from the bottom or head from the top.
Sorry.
Okay. 30 more seconds.
30 seconds.
Here I'm creating distance, starting from a distance rather than from the clinch, so that way Gabe can feel the different resets that's going to happen.
So, did you grab onto my wrist here?
Now I'm telling him to learn how to roll over that grip.
This is your...
I'm really trying to teach him more things so that he can make me better by doing those to me, right? So right here he kind of flips it to the sideways and he's thinking more about throwing an elbow, but I'm more trying to tell him to flip it downward, and that's going to redirect my body down to the ground.
Now shoot your elbow down to that. Yes.
Right there, he needs to turn his back towards me more, meaning he needs to rotate his body to the point where he's actually looking away.
Oh, gosh.
Much better.
Oh, please. Please.
So he flipped my arm off with that elbow flip, but then I re-grabbed his wrist there. That was another shovel kick with the grips in.
Yes, that would have got me.
Now that he knows how to roll his elbow, I'm doing it back to him. You can roll your elbow over the top for that cutting elbow, or underneath for like that shoving elbow to the sternum. Just getting a little more confident with the strikes and stuff. Now we're going to do everything to combine. Strikes from the distance, strikes from the clinch, try to go for takedowns. And I'm asking him where his strengths are, as in where does he want to take the fight, rather than trying to react. Right now I'm staying at a distance, trying to pick at him here.
Yeah.
He's messing around with some MMA style, like stand switches and stuff like
Is
that.
the contact alright? Yeah, not too heavy? Okay.
As you can see, I really like that double jab, high-low. Now I'm willingly engaging in the clinch just to close the range a little bit.
It's a lot to think about right now. So just like the gripping thing, have one focus and just zone in on that, tune in on that, so that everything kind of just gets ignored. Right?
I always think about
jumping around, so you're worried about all that
white
stuff.
noise, like static on a
Don't play
TV
into money.
screen. The more you focus on one thing, the static kind of disappears, right? So it's kind of like tuning into the right channel, and you decide what that channel is,
That
because
means you gotta strike your way into the grip.
he's talking about he wants to grip and close the distance, but he can't grip since I'm striking. So I told him to strike his way in to get a grip.
Get me my mind off of something else, so you get what you want.
So that tells me he's getting vested in a distance. So he wants to close the distance now and get a grip into the gripping range, the clinch range. My response to that should have been to just get better footwork and maintain distance, but I'm allowing him to close the distance here. He likes that spinning throw, and you gotta show him to stick his foot out and try to trip with that too. Right there, we were in the clinch, but he forgot that strikes were still involved, so I just threw some knees there. My camera turned off, so there's a live stream, so it's gonna look a little choppy now, guys, but we're almost done. We're only 2 minutes to the end.
But you still have your throw in mind, right? So you're not moving. Wait for it, and there.
I'm telling him not to give me time to think when we're in the clinch.
While you're moving me around.
So you always need constant movement, even while you're trying to do your technique. Right here, I'm just throwing little flicker jabs just to cause a reaction.
Oh, that's cool. Nice. This is McGregor's shoulder bump. Boom! Oh, gosh.
Talking about the shoulder bump from McGregor's last fight. My hands were tied, so I either could have thrown a knee, but he was pulling my posture down, so I could have done a headbutt. Instead, I opted for a shoulder bump.
This is a good first time, though.
That was a great shove to create distance there. So he resetted his position knowing that he was compromised. I'm grabbing onto his sleeve here, kind of like a suitcase grip. Just messing around and using the tools available to me. That was a two-hand grip to the knee. Gabe's great at lowering himself. Very solid center of gravity. Notice how my hand's hanging there to protect myself from the knees. I knew he was going to do that because I was kneeing him earlier. Great balance there, hopping around. I drop it there so I can pop up to the back.
Oh, gosh.
I got his back here. So you're going to see my head's peeking out the side, and I'm going to hide my head behind his back now because he could throw an elbow from there. So now I'm safe here. My head's behind his back. Right there, he lifted up a little bit to try to fight the grip, and then in that second, I was able to drop his center of gravity to the mat.
3, 2, 1.
I'm just having fun there. All right, thank you guys.